Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show, the JD Basketball Show. First off, I just want to say thank you for watching, and now let's talk about the NBA 75. Man, this has been the talk of the basketball world for this whole week. The question is who will get snubbed. Anyone on the original list, would they get cut? Who are the new players being added? Will they make up for some mistakes like Dominique Wilkins and Bob McAdoo? So there's a lot of questions, and now all 75 have been revealed, so let's check it out. All right, y'all, before I get into my list, let's just talk about the current list, some of the notable things. First off, all 50 members from the previous list have made it onto the new list, so I find it funny that, they could have voted all these guys off, but I guess, people didn't want to disrespect the old-time legends. Fair enough. And all of them are back on the list. But for me personally, there's quite a few snubs. And unfortunately for those guys, I have to cut a few of them from my list. And also what's funny is during the voting process, there's actually a tie. So there's actually 26 players who are new additions. And it's just kind of weird that, we got 76 players on the 75th anniversary team. They should have just made a vote or something, because to me that's ridiculous. Come on, 76 players on a 75th anniversary team. But hey, it is what it is. Let me tell you some of the new players that are added. We got, Ray Allen, we got Giannis, we got Carmelo, we got Kobe, we got Steph, we got AD, we got Tim Duncan, we got Kevin Durant, we got Kevin Garnett, we got James Harden, Allen Iverson, LeBron, Jason Kidd, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, Bob McAdoo, Reggie Miller, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Chris Paul, Gary Payton, Paul Pierce, Dennis Rodman, Dwayne Wade, Russell Westbrook, and Dominique Wilkins. All right, y'all. So I'm not mad at this list. And let's just say all the 50 players from the previous list had to stay on. And I can only pick 25. And I'll be honest, I'd probably replace Damian Lillard with Dwight Howard. I love Damian Lillard. He's one of my favorite players, all-time playoff moments. But, Dwight Howard should have been on this list. He was the best big man for at least majority of the decade. Multiple defensive player of the years. He led the Orlando Magic to the finals. And the crazy thing is he didn't even reach his full potential. Remember, he was working out with Hakeem. He never really applied those post moves. His game was based on pure athleticism, and he was the best center in the league for many years. So I would have had him on the list instead of Dame. And it's no offense to Dame. He has more time. He'll probably make the 100 list for me. But yeah, I'd have Dwight Howard first off in there. And then, all right, so I'm going to go through my list in alphabetical order. And yeah, I'll just tell you a little bit about each player, a couple of their accolades and why I think they deserve to be on the list. So number 1, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Again, is there really an explanation? He's the all-time leader in points. He has one of the most iconic signature shots in NBA history. He's a 6-time MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, 6-time NBA champion, 15-time All-NBA, and 19-time All-Star. I mean, what is there more to say about the captain? He's probably the best center in NBA history, so he's got to be on that list. Next up is Ray Allen. Ray Allen, one of the all-time greatest shooters. He's currently the leader in most three-point shots made. He's a 10-time All-Star. He was a part of 2 dynasties, the Miami Heat and the Celtics. He's a 2-time All-NBA. You got to respect Reggie. One of the most iconic shots in NBA history. And yeah, again, without Ray Allen and Reggie Miller, these guys, there wouldn't be no Steph Curry, no Damian Lillard, no Klay Thompson. So mad respect to Ray Allen. Next up, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, I believe he may be the youngest player on my list, but you know what? All the accolades he achieved in such a young career, you got to give him so much props. 5-time All-Star. Again, he's an NBA champion, 5-time All-NBA. He's a 2-time MVP. He's a Finals MVP, and of course, he was a Defensive Player of the Year. Man, Giannis, he's just a freak of nature, and the scary thing about him is he hasn't reached his full potential, right? You know, he's just now working on that jump shot, you know, that little mid-range shot, you know. He's probably trying to improve his free throws as well. And he has all these accolades under his list, and he has many more years to come. So, you know, if we were ranking these, he definitely would be up there probably by the end of his career. All right, next up, we got the Mellow Man, Carmelo Anthony. Again, 10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA. I think he's near the top 10 in scoring. And he was also a scoring champion. What could I say? One of the best pure scorers in the game. You know, that mid-range he has is deadly. You know, he could score on you on the block. And Melo Denver days, he was athletic. He'll put you on a poster, you know, when he had the braids. And yeah, man, if he can get a championship, I think that would perfectly, you know, end his career. Shout out to Melo. He also rehabilitated his career when, you know, people didn't really want him, you know. He made some sacrifices on Portland. Now he's making sacrifices on LA. Again, he's one of my favorite players, and shout out to Melo. All right, next up, we got Tiny Nate Archibald. Again, you know, one of the dynamic point guards in the 70s. He's a 6-time All-Star. He was a scoring champion, and he was also part of the Celtic dynasty. He was a champion in 1981, 5-time All-NBA. And look at this. He averaged 34 points one season. Man, this guy was a bucket. And yeah, you know, he helped win a championship as well. So he's definitely deserving on this list. Next up is Elgin Baylor. Unfortunately, he has no NBA championships because he faced those tough Celtic teams. But still, he was one of the best small forwards in the game. 11-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA. And yeah, unfortunately, he couldn't win, but I believe he still has the highest playoff scoring record in the finals. He had like 60-something. He was a bucket getter back in the day, and it's just tough that he couldn't win a championship. But yeah, man, shout out to Elgin Baylor. He died earlier this year, so rest in peace to the great legend. Next up, we got Charles Barkley. You already know, the round mound of rebound, as they call him. You know, he 11-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA. He was the MVP in 92-93. That's where he led the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, he ran into Michael Jordan. You know, he was just like he was a monster, man. He wasn't that tall. He was only 6'6", but this guy, man, he averaged almost 12 rebounds a game. Man, Barkley was a beast. You know, people are like trying to, especially like current players like Draymond, be disrespecting Chuck sometimes. This guy was a monster, bro. He would dunk on you, and yeah, man, and he could hit the outside shot when needed. We all remember that shot against the San Antonio Spurs, that clutch playoff dagger, and yeah, man, shout out to Chuck. He's one of the funniest people on TV in basketball media. And I think, you know, he's super underrated, but like, man, those Suns teams are really good. You know, they took those Bulls teams to the limit, and Charles Barkley is definitely that reason why. All right, next up we got Rick Barry. Again, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's a 12-time All-Star. He's a 6-time All-NBA. He was also a beast in the ABA. And yeah, he was a Finals MVP in 1974, 1975. And yeah, man, he was just one of those great players in the 70s. You know, 70s were a weird year. He won the championship. And he also has that iconic shot, that free throw shot, you know. Probably changed the game, you know, just he was an amazing scorer. I mean, this dude averaged 35 points one season, 34 another season. Yeah, man, this guy was a bucket getter, and he nearly averaged 25 a game. So, Rick Barry definitely deserves to be on this list. Next up, legend, Larry Bird. Again, Hall of Fame, 12-time All-Star, 3-time NBA champion, 11-time All-NBA, and 2-time Finals MVP, 3-time regular season MVP. Man, this guy, he changed the game, man. You know, people like to talk about KD being 6'10", and being a bucket. Larry Bird was 6'9", and he was a bucket getter. And he was just like, he changed the game, man. His shooting was unbelievable. But along with, like, he just had a great IQ. He knew what to do. 10 rebounds a game, 6 assists a game. And he had one of the greatest teams in NBA history. Those 86 Celtics, man, that was unbelievable. And yeah, man, this guy, man, he's super underrated as well. I think people don't forget how scary Larry Bird was, man. Like, honestly, like, if you see him shoot the ball, you think it's cash all the way. You know, he has that little different looking form, but man, it works for him. So yeah, shout out to the hick from the French Lick, Larry Bird. Next up, man, it's gonna be a little emotional talking about it, but Kobe Bean Bryant, aka the Black Mamba. First off, RIP, man. I wish he was alive to see all the accolades he would receive after his career. You know, 18-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion, 5-time NBA champion, 15-time All-NBA, 2-time Finals MVP, and he also has a regular season MVP. Man, he averaged 25 for his career. Man, and this is like despite not playing a lot in his first few years in the NBA. You know, he only averaged 7.6 points in his rookie year. But man, this guy was a bucket, man. Like, some of them, he averaged 35 one year. He averaged 32 another year. He averaged 30 another year. You know, again, as great as Shaq was, Kobe was great with him as well. You know, those 3 NBA championships, they probably don't get all 3 without Kobe and Shaq. They needed both of them, you know, and Kobe just had the will to win. You know, he wasn't afraid of missing. That's what made him like super clutch and super scary. Is this guy? He would shoot it over 3 people, and again, people would say, man, he was inefficient, but man, this just shows the confidence in himself and how much he believed in himself. And yeah, man, one of my favorite shots from Kobe against the Phoenix Suns, I believe it was Game 4, and it was after a tip jump ball. He catches it, gets to his spot, pulls up, boom for the win. Lakers go up 3-1. Unfortunately, they lose the series. But man, Kobe was there's a reason why people say Kobe after they shoot some garbage into like the garbage bin. Like, that's how iconic Kobe is, and we'll definitely miss some RIP to the Black Mamba. Next up, Vince Carter. Again, 8-time All-Star, only 2-time All-NBA, but this guy was up there in the scoring ranks. The longevity, 20 years, and the greatest dunker of all time, you know. And something people don't really talk about is this guy adjusted his game. He went from dunking on man to just being an efficient 3-point shooter. And yeah, you know what? Again, he didn't reach the peak that a lot of people expected him to reach. Especially me being from Toronto. You know, I wish he would get us at least to a conference finals. But he wasn't able to do that. But just like, you know what? His longevity, you know, I think after that Toronto trade, people kind of looked at him wrong. But like, he just became a veteran, and he just had amazing longevity. And again, the greatest dunker in NBA history. And if you're one of the greatest at something, to me, you got to be on the list. So, yeah, shout out to Vince Carter. Vince Sanity. Next up, we got Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, what more do you want me to say about Wilt? Hall of Fame, 13-time All-Star, 7-time scoring champ, 11-time rebound champ. He was even an assist champion back in the day. Again, maybe the knock is he only won 2 championships, but he was facing those Bill Russell-led Celtics. 10-time All-NBA and 4-time MVP, man. This guy, if you just look at numbers alone, he's probably the greatest of all time. This dude averaged 50 points. Oh my god. And 25 rebounds. And like, wow. Oh my goodness. What more can I say? He scored 100 points. He's probably was the most dominant player in his era and maybe of all time, you know. This guy, unfortunately, the knock on him is like he couldn't get the best of Bill Russell, but look at these numbers, and the fact that he was even an assist champion shows the versatility they've Wilt, and you know what, he could definitely play in today's league. He's just super athletic, and yeah, man. Again, R.I.P. to Wilt, man, one of the GOATs for real. Right, next up, we got Dave Cowens, and again, people forget, like, in the 70s, the Celtics also won championships, and he was probably the main reason why. He was an 8-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champion, 2-time All-NBA, and he was MVP in 1972-73. So, yeah, man, shout out to Dave Cowens, again, another great Celtics. If you win 18 championships, I mean, you're bound to have multiple players on this list, and yeah, man. I can't deny this guy, you know, he continued the Celtics dynasty. And yeah, again, he averaged like 18 and 14. Like, those are pretty amazing numbers. So, shout out to Dave Cowens. Next up, we got Bob Cousy. Again, like I said, the Celtics dynasty, he was also a part of it. And yeah, man, he was one of the best passers early on, you know. I guess he paved the way for like John Stockton, Steve Nash, you know, 13-time All-Star actually. Again, 8-time assist champion, 6-time NBA champion, 12-time All-NBA, and he also snagged the MVP. And he averaged 18 points, so he could get some buckets as well. And you know, he averaged 7.5 assists a game. Again, I guess for back then that was definitely a lot. And yeah, man, just one of the first. He was like the first point guard of the NBA. Shout out to Kuz. And then here we go. This is the 15th player, Stephen Curry. I mean, last night he just dropped 45, you know, so what more can I say? But 7-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion, 3-time NBA champion, 7-time All-NBA, 2-time regular season MVP. You could say the only thing he is missing is the Finals MVP, but he could definitely get it. He changed the game. Like, you can't tell the story of the NBA without Steph Curry. He changed the game. You know, he changed the game for, like, on a fast break, you don't run to the rim. You got to run to the three-point line to find this guy. This guy, you got to guard him up at half court. He changed the game, man. He was on, like, the best regular season team of all time. You know, 73-9 Golden State Warriors. And he just made some iconic shots. You know, that shot in Oklahoma. Man, Steph Curry. And the thing is, he's still got more time to add to this accolades. And you know, right now he currently averages 24 a game. I could definitely see that going up for his career averages. And yeah, man, he's gonna be the all-time leading 3-point scorer in probably a couple months. So yeah, Steph Curry. What more can I say? All right, next up, Anthony Davis. Yeah, so AD, what's his case? He's an 8-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA. He was an NBA champion. He's an amazing defender. He's probably the best, you know, power forward of this era right now. Well, actually, there is Giannis, but like, I guess before Giannis peaked, he was definitely up there. And yeah, man, Lakers don't win that championship without AD. He had some clutch shots, especially against Denver. And yeah, man, he's definitely gonna get defensive player of the year. He's an amazing defender, and yeah, the only knock on him is like he is injury prone, so hopefully he can stay healthy for the rest of his career. But so far, so good for the Brow AD. Next up, we got another AD, Adrian Dantley. Unfortunately, he didn't make the real list, but man, this guy was a bucket getter, 6-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champion, 2-time All-NBA. Yeah, man, this guy, people forget, like, he's one of the most underrated players in the 80s. Like, he averaged 30 for 4 years in a row. I mean, what more can I say about Adrian Dantley? You know, he doesn't have playoff success or, like, All-NBA success. But, man, he was one of the best scorers in the game. And for that, you got to get on the list for me. Another amazing scorer, we got Clyde Drexler. This guy, again, one of the great dunkers in the game. 10-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He took teams to the finals, 2 times, actually. He lost to the Pistons. He lost to the Bulls. He was the man on those teams. And, I'm happy for him. He was able to get a championship in 1995. And, yeah, man. Clyde Drexler. Unfortunately, he played against Jordan, so he definitely was, under his shadow. But he was still a great player. So shout out to Clyde. Next up, we got Timmy D, a.k.a. the Big Fundamental. What can I say about Timmy? 5-time NBA champion, 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 15-time All-Defensive. He was also 3-time Finals MVP and 2-time regular season MVP. He played for one team. He's probably the greatest power forward ever. He was a part of the Spurs dynasty in every year. And, yeah, man, he's definitely super underrated. I think just because he's not a flashy player. But, man, this guy, he's definitely in the top 10 for me. If I was ranking these, he was an all-time winner as well. He probably could have averaged more points, but he made a lot of sacrifices for his team, under the pop system. So you got to keep that in mind as well. But, yeah, man, like, when it came down to the playoffs, he was a winner. He knew how to win. I think he almost got a quadruple-double in the 2003 NBA Finals. And, yeah, man, I'm surprised he never won a Defensive Player of the Year. But, again, one of the all-time great interior defenders. Even though, like, he didn't look athletic, he was very athletic, And, yeah, man, he's a coach now. And, he's looking to add more championships to his resume. So, again, shout out to Timmy D, the Big Fundamental. Next up, we got KD, man. Kevin Durant. Probably the top 5 scorer in NBA history. This guy's a 4-time scoring champion, 2-time NBA champion, 11-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA. He only has 1 MVP, but he could get another one. He also has 2 Finals MVP. Man, this guy was a bucket. Right now, he averages 27 a game for his career. So, you know what? He may get to 30. Who knows? He has 32 in his first game, so we'll see. I guess the only knock on him is, like, he kind of joined the Warriors. But, man, like, again, he was just such a special player. Like, man, the Warriors probably needed him in 2019. That's how special he was. Like, as good as the Warriors were, KD was that good, and yeah, man, one of the best pure scorers in the game. He's probably is 7 foot, but man, this guy, just a bucket getter. So shout out to KD. And then he's not done as well. He could probably add another MVP. He's looking to add a couple championships. So we'll see what he can do. Next up, we got Juluis Erving. Again, one of the best dunkers of all time. He kind of played in the ABA as well. So again, not all his accolades, are in the NBA, but still, again, he was 16-time All-Star for both. And then he was, again, an NBA champion in 1983, 7-time All-NBA. And, yeah, man, he 4-time MVP. This guy was a man in ABA as well. And NBA, I'm glad he got that championship. He made to, like, I believe, a couple finals losing, but he finally got one. Just one of the most iconic players, has one of the most iconic moves in NBA history. That baseline layup against the Lakers in the finals. And yeah, man, he was Jordan before Jordan with his athleticism, his charisma, his ability to score. Yeah, man, he averaged 24 a game. So yeah, he was definitely a bucket. Shout out to Dr. J. Next up, we got another bucket, Alex English. Like I said with Adrian Dantley, man, some of these guys are super underrated. He's an 8-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. He's a scoring champion. And yeah, he averaged 21 a game. But man, he was a bucket getter. For a run, he averaged 25, 28, 26, 27, 30, 29, 25, 26. Man, what a run from Alex English. Man, he's definitely underrated. To me, he definitely deserves to be on this list. Next up, we got Patrick Ewing. Again, 11-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, he ran into those Bulls. He could have won a championship. He definitely could have. And then he also ran into Hakeem. So, and then he was injured as well in 1999. Who knows? If he was healthy, maybe he could help the Knicks beat the Spurs. But man, yeah, one of the great post centers. He has that amazing little fadeaway in the post. He was a bucket, and unfortunately, he just ran into MJ multiple times. So, yeah, man, that's tough. Next up, we got Clyde Fraizer. Again, he's kind of known for his fashion back in the day. 7-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champion, 6-time All-NBA, and then he's also a 7-time All-Defensive. And yeah, man, he led those Knicks to championships, and he's one of the best players on the championship team. So you can't deny him. And yeah, man, he was a dynamic point guard. He could get buckets, but he was also getting assists as well. So shout out to Clyde Fraizer. Yeah, man. Without him, New York would definitely be a more miserable place. I'll tell you that much. Next up, we got KG, Kevin Garnett. What can I say about KG that hasn't been said? 15-time All-Star, champion 08, 9-time All-NBA. He got a Defensive Player of the Year. He got an MVP in 2004. Yeah, man. KG, one of the most... He may be the most gifted big man in the league. He could handle the ball. He could defend. He could dunk on you. He could hit the mid-range. He could also kind of hit the three. Yeah, man. And he was one of the most intense players in the league. And, he finally got his championship with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. And he's a big reason why. Anything is possible. Shout out to KG. Next up, we got George, the Iceman Gervin. Again, another bucket getter. 12-time All-NBA. 4-time scoring champion. 7-time All-NBA. 12-time All-Star. I said that's what I meant earlier. But, yeah, man. This guy, he's a bucket getter. Again, just like Alex English, he's kind of underrated, especially in the 70s when you got all those other players winning championships like Dr. J, Havlicek, But this guy was the man for the Spurs, He averaged 33 one year, and his total average is 25. So if you average 25 a game for your career, to me, you definitely should be on the list. So shout out to the Iceman. Another new addition, we got Pau Gasol. 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, 2-time NBA champion. And yeah, man, without him, Lakers don't win those 2 years in 2009 and 2010. This guy was super underrated, one of the best passing big man. He'll put work on you on the block. He'll post you down, but he could also hit that little mid-range jumper. And yeah, man, super underrated. And in 2010, Kobe didn't have the best series, but this guy definitely stepped up. I think he got one of the clutch rebounds to kind of seal that win against the Celtics. So shout out to Pau Gasol, a great player. Next up, we got the beard, James Harden. What can I say about James Harden? 3-time scoring champion. Uh, Again, 9-time All-Star. 7-time All-NBA. He's an MVP. He got that 6-man early in his career. He currently averages 25 for his career. So, this guy's a bucket getter. One had some amazing seasons, almost averaging triple doubles like Russ. This guy was a bucket. He averaged 36 and 34 back-to-back years. Some say he could have won MVP. And yeah, man, I can't argue against it. Shout out to the beard. He's not done as well. He's trying to get that championship, so he might get it this year. We'll see. Next up, we got Hondo John Havlicek. Now, what can I say about this guy? 12-time All-Star, 8-time NBA champion, 11-time All-NBA. Actually, was a 13-time All-Star. Sorry, Hondo. But yeah, he just died this year. RIP. He was also Finals MVP in 74. And he has a iconic play where he said, Havlicek steals the ball. Again, this guy just continued that Celtics dynasty once Bill Russell was gone. He was still able to win a couple championships for the Celtics. So, shout out to Hondo. And he was also, one of the first 6 star players to come off the bench. He kind of paved the way for Manu and Harden to come off the bench. And, yeah, this guy was a bucket getter. And, yeah. And he was also a great defender as well. 8-time All-NBA. Forgot to mention that. Next up, we got the Big E, Alvin Hayes. He's a 12-time All-Star. He's a scoring champion, 2-time rebound champion, NBA champion, 6-time All-NBA. And, yeah, man, this guy, he averaged 21 and 12 for his career. He was part of those Bullets teams, along with Wes Unseld, to win a championship. He was probably the best player on those teams. And, yeah, man, this guy, man, he just put up godly numbers as well, one of the best seasons. He got 28 and 17. So, yeah, man, he was a beast. Next up, we got Grant Hill. Again, some people say he was injury prone, but to me, what he did in his first 5 years gets him on the list. 7-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, and yeah, man, look at his first few years. He averaged 26 and 9, 21, 7 and 9, 21, 6 and 7, 21, 6 and 7, 26, 5 and 6. Again, he was the first LeBron before LeBron, and his longevity as well. He definitely, that's a great story, and him being able to come back from those injuries and helping these Phoenix Suns teams in the playoffs is also a great story. So shout out to Grant Hill, well deserved, super underrated in my opinion, and to me deserves to be on the list. Next up we got Dwight Howard, who did get snubbed but not on my list. 8-time All-Star, again 5-time rebound champ, 2-time block champ. Again, he won the title in 2020. 8-time All-NBA. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time All-Defense. I mean, like I said earlier, he didn't even reach his potential, and look at all those accolades he had. Imagine if he had the post moves. Imagine, those years in Wizards and Hawks, and he was also injury prone, right? He had a bad back with the Lakers. If he was healthy, who knows how great those Lakers teams get. And, yeah, man. And he's still not done yet. He's looking for a championship. One of the best big men in this era. So, shout out to Superman, Dwight Howard. Next up, we got the answer. Allen Iverson. What more could I say? This guy had changed the game culture-wise. This guy got rid of the dress. He made the dress code because of him, man. 11-time All-Star, 4-time scoring champion, steals champion 3 times, 7-time All-NBA. Got that MVP in 2001. Iconic run. He took 1 game off the Lakers. To me, that's basically a championship. What a game. He stepped over Tyronn Lue. We all remember that. But yeah, man, this guy was a bucket. He averaged 30 3 times in his career. So, Yeah, man, what more can I say about Allen Iverson? This guy averages 26.7 for his career. Man, that's amazing, bro. 26.7. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All right, next up. And oh yeah, but also like, his crossover changed the game too, man. So, probably him and Isaiah Thomas, the best low guards in the NBA. Next up, we got the King, LeBron James. What more is there to say about LeBron? He's a 7-time All-Star, 4-time NBA champion, 7-time All-NBA. Again, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time regular season MVP. Dude averages 27, 7.4, and 7.4. He's probably going to be in the top 10 in all three of those categories. Some people say he's the GOAT. To me, I'd have Jordan a little bit ahead of him, but, shout out to LeBron. He's probably the best all-around player in the NBA. And, again, he's not done. He's looking for more championships, so we'll see what the King could do. But, yeah, man. And he could also be – he's second in he's going to be second soon in all-time NBA scoring, so who knows? He may surpass Kareem, and if he does, that'll definitely help him in that GOAT argument. But, yeah. Next up, we got Dennis Johnson. Again, one of the great underrated winners in this league. He helped the Sonics win championships in the 70s and get to the finals. And then he helped the Celtics as well win championships. Hit some clutch shots in the finals, 1985. Yeah, man, super underrated. He was a great defender, 9-time All Defense for a guard, and 5-time All Star, 2-time All NBA, and 79 Finals MVP, 3-time NBA champion. RIP to the great Dennis Johnson. I'm sorry, that's kind of a teaser. Will Rodman be on my list? We'll see, but yeah. Next up, we got Magic. What can I say? Probably the best point guard of all time. Just his flair, his flashiness. I mean, that's why they call him Magic. That's why they call it Showtime. Again, 12-time All-Star, 4-time assist champion. He also had a couple steals championships. 3-time Finals MVP, 3-time regular season MVP, 10-time All-NBA, 5-time NBA champion. Shout out to Magic, man. This guy averaged 11.2 assists a game and 20 points. So yeah, what more can I say? He was a part of the great dynasty, and even in 1991, he got to the finals. He was MVP, I believe, and yeah, he was not. He had a great run. Great run. Shout out to Magic. He had years where he get 13 assists, 12 assists. 12 assists again. So, yeah, man, this guy, probably after Stockton, he's up there as the greatest passer of all time. But for me personally, I think Stockton may have more, but Magic, man, the way he did it, to me, he's my greatest passer of all time. And next, we got another winner, Sam Jones. He was 10-time NBA champion, 5-time All-Star. And man, Sam Jones, he'll be part of NBA history just because he was a part of those teams, and he was a great scorer. He averaged nearly 18 points for them. So yeah, shout out to Sam Jones. He's a legend. Next up, we got Jason Kidd, another man who likes to get triple doubles. Man, they used to call him Mr. Triple Double. Again, he was just probably, again, one of the great passers of all time. 5-time assist NBA champion. 10-time All-Star. 6-time All-NBA. And he was a great defender as well. 9-time All-Defense. And, although he only averages 12.6 a game and 6 rebounds, 8 assists for his career, he changed the game in the way he played. He always made everyone better, and you can't deny his run in 2003 and 2002, getting those Nets teams to the finals. Definitely all due to him. He was the main reason why. And he probably could have won MVP in 2002. And then he capped it off with a championship to 2011, where although he was old, he still made some key plays and big time shots, and he was still a great defender. So Shout out to J Kidd. Next up, we got Kawhi, the Claw, Leonard, again, 5-time All-Star, 2-time NBA champion, 5-time All-NBA, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Finals MVP. What can I say about the Claw, man? This guy will lock you down, and he just constantly improved his offensive game, where he's a bucket in the mid-range. He could dunk on you. Like, man, living from Toronto, like, this guy literally changed the city, man. Like, without him, we don't win that championship. One of the most iconic shots in NBA history. And then, yeah, the only knock on him is, like, he's injury prone, and that kind of affected his accolades. But I think, that 2019 run kind of solidified how great Kawhi Leonard is. And he's not done yet. So, yeah, shout out to the Claw. Next up, we got big man, Jerry Lucas. Yeah, man, Jerry Lucas, he averaged 17 and 16 for his career. 7-time All-Star. He's an NBA champion as well, so I'll give him credit. And he, 5-time All-NBA. And, yeah, man, he's just, again, one of those great big men in those early days. But obviously they were overshadowed by, like, Kareem, the Wilts. But he was a good player. And, yeah, man. What can I say? He got the NBA championship. And, Jerry Lucas. He also won for the Knicks. So, hey. Again, New York would be miserable without him. Next up, we got... Who we got? Oh, yeah, we got the mailman, Karl Malone. I'm not going to say he doesn't deliver on Sundays. I ain't that cold. But, Karl Malone, again... 14-time All-Star, 14-time All-NBA, 2-time MVP. And, again, unfortunately ran into, Jordan 2 times, man. Just unfortunate, man. It's tough, but, man, he was a monster. Like, this guy, he was a brick wall in the lane. He had that little mid-range. Again, I guess the only knock is, like, he wasn't that good in the free throws. He wasn't consistent. But, man, the mailman, he usually did deliver. This guy averaged 25 and 10 for his career. So, what can I say? Unfortunately, he tried to get that ring in 2004. But, injuries kind of prevented that. But still, one of the all-time greats, the mailman, Karl Malone. Another Malone, we got Moses Malone, 13-time All-Star, 6-time rebound champion. He was, again, an NBA champion in 1983 during that 4-4-4 run. And, he was also Finals MVP and 8-time All-NBA, 3-time MVP. This guy was a beast, man. 20 points, 12 rebounds for his career. He was a monster in the lane. No one could stop him as well. Probably super underrated. And, after Kareem, is probably the best center in the 80s. So, shout out to Moses. Next up, we got... Pistol. Pete Maravich. Man, this guy, he brought flash to the NBA, bro. Like, 5-time All-Star, and he was a scoring champion as well. He was a great facilitator, 4-time All-NBA. The only knock is, like, he didn't play a lot of years. He only played 9 years, I believe. But, man, this guy, he had a good run. He averaged, for his career, he averaged 24 a game, and he was a bucket, like, each season. And he changed the game with his style of play. Super exciting, super flashy. So shout out to Pistol Pete. And then we got another snub, Bob McAdoo, who could have made it, again, the 50 list, but he's on my list. 5-time All-Star, 3-time scoring champion, 2-time NBA champion, 2-time All-NBA. He was an MVP as well. This guy was a bucket. He averaged 22 and 9 a game. He averaged 30, 34, 31, what a run in Buffalo. He probably didn't get a lot of credit for those, but man, those are amazing runs. And he got a couple MVPs and he was able to win a couple championships with the Lakers. So yeah, shout out to Big Bob McAdoo. All right, so next up we got T-Mac, Tracy McGrady. Again, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, 2-time scoring champion, 7-time All-NBA, 7-time All-Star. And yeah, man, to me, he should have been on this team. This guy, he averages nearly 20 points, again, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He was kind of KD light in his ability to score and also being like 6'8" and super athletic, could dunk on you. He could also hit the three over you. Yeah, man, he was a great scorer. He averaged 32 one season. So yeah, man. No, I guess the only knock on him is like he was kind of injury prone late in his career and like he couldn't really win a playoff series. But still, man, to me, one of the most exciting players in the NBA and has great highlights, man. If you watch his highlights, you'll see how amazing T-Mac was. So shout out to T-Mac. Next up, we got Kevin McHale. Again, he was a part of those amazing Celtics teams. 7-time All-Star, 3-time NBA champion. He was also 6th man for a couple of years, all defensive, 6 years. One of the great players in the post. He averaged 18 and 7. And then, yeah, man, Celtics don't win without Kevin McHale. He's definitely the second best player on most of those championship teams. One of the best post big men in the NBA. Kind of paved the way for other guys like Timmy and the KG. Get that mid range as well. So shout out to Big Kev. Next up, we got George Mikan. Again, one of the great legends in this game early on. Again, people will say, man, he didn't play against good competition, but still, But still, man, he was the best in his era. 4-time All-Star, 3-time scoring champion, and he won 6-time All-NBA, and he won five titles for the Lakers. And Lakers like to brag about they got 18 titles. Well, they don't win without George Mikan, and he's definitely an important part about the early history about the NBA, and he's definitely a part of the NBA story. You can't tell it without George Mikan. Next up, we got Reggie Miller. I'm happy he also made that list again. 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. But what it doesn't show is at one point he was the 3-point leader, and also like he led his teams, and he has iconic playoff moments, against the Knicks. 8 points in 8 seconds, or 25 and a quarter, or again against the Bulls, pushing off MJ, hitting that clutch shot. So yeah, man. To me, Reggie makes it in my list because he was always a winner. He made the playoffs, I believe, every year, and yeah, he changed the game with his shooting, and he even made the finals once. Unfortunately, he ran the Kobe and Shaq, but still, Reggie was he was an all-time winner, and he was a great scorer in this NBA. Next up, we got Sidney Moncrief, someone a little different. He's a defender. He's actually a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he plays guard. Like, man, this guy was GP before GP, 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, and he could score as well. Don't get it twisted, and he's super underrated, I think, in NBA history. But again, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year as a guard. Man, you're definitely a great defender. So, shout out to Sidney Moncrief. Next up, we got Steve Nash, 2-time MVP, 8-time All-Star, 5-time assist champion, 7-time All-NBA. Only thing is, he didn't win a championship, but still, he was a part of great teams, in Dallas. And then he helped the Phoenix Suns, back to winning, without Nash. That system wouldn't work so well. He got, other players like Amari to get to All-Star level, and when one of the best passers in the game, and he kind of opened the way for Steph Curry as well. He's one of the best shooters in the game. He's been in the 50, 40, 90 club multiple times, and yeah, man, super underrated. People say, "Oh, he didn't deserve MVP," but you know what? He was super valuable to the Sun teams, and he could have scored more if he wanted to. To be honest, but he didn't want to. I think he just loved to get his teammates involved, and yeah, man. Shout out to Steve Nasty Nash, as people call him. Next up, we got his teammate Dirk. Again, what can I say about Dirk? 14-time All Star, 2011 NBA champion, 12-time All NBA, Finals MVP, and of course, regular season MVP. Again, he changed the game. 7-footer who could shoot threes, who could post you up, who could drive in. He makes all his free throws. Man, this guy was a bucket. Shout out to Dirk. Super underrated, I think. You know, people kind of knocked him before the championship because he had a lot of playoff failures. But, man, he was just a great player. And, yeah, whether people say he's not the best defender, but he was solid. And, you know, he got 7.5 rebounds. And, yeah, man, this guy changed the game. And one of the most iconic shots, that one-legged fadeaway, and probably one of the greatest playoff runs in 2011. Defeating Kobe, defeating Katie, defeating LeBron and D-Wade. So, yeah, shout out to Dirk, a true legend. And another international legend, we got Hakeem Olajuwon. Again, 12-time All-Star, rebound champion twice, block champion 3 times, 2-time NBA champion, 12-time All-NBA, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He has an MVP. Probably could have had more, and he's a 2-time Finals MVP. Yeah, man, this guy has great post moves as a big man. His footwork was impeccable. His defense as well. You know, people remember that amazing block on John Starks, and also, yeah, for his footwork, you know, he kind of like made David Robinson kind of look like a joke. This guy was a beast. Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, and when Jordan retired, you know, he took advantage. I'd love to see him go against Jordan in the finals, but unfortunately, we didn't get to see it. But yeah, man. Shout out to Hakeem. Another great big man, we got Shaq. What more can I say about Shaq? 15-time All-Stars. He was a 2-time scoring champion, 4-time NBA champion, 4-time All-NBA, 3-time Finals MVP. He only got 1 MVP. He probably could have had a few. He's probably the most dominant big man in the NBA. Just overpower you, dunk on you. He didn't need a 3-point shot. He didn't need a mid-range shot. He just get you on the block, overpower you, and dunk on you. So, shout out to Shaq. This guy averaged, again, almost 24 points a game and 11 rebounds. And he played multiple years, you know. He had a couple years where, you know, he was only scoring 9 points. So, yeah, man. Or 10 points in the end of his career, but he still has that high of an average. Yeah. And super dominant with Kobe. Again, maybe the best 1-2 punch in the history, and he was definitely that. He was definitely the key, you know, with his 3 Finals MVPs. So shout out to Shaq. Next up, we got another big man, Robert Parrish. Again, you can't tell the Celtics story without Robert Parrish. He was a part of the Big Three in the Celtics days. 9-time All-Star. He is a 4-time champion. He actually played for the Bulls at the end of his career. I believe he played most games in NBA history with 16,011 games. So I got to give him kudos for that. He's a 2-time All-NBA. The Chief, man. He was a great player inside. He could score inside. He's a great defender. And he's definitely key to those championship teams. So shout out to the Chief, Robert Parrish. Next time we got my man, Tony Parker. Yes, sir. 6-time All-Star, 4-time NBA champion, 4-time All-NBA. And, of course, he got the Finals MVP. I think he's super underrated to these Spurs teams, you know. As you can see, I'm going by alphabetical order. Manu didn't make my list just because, like, his stats weren't as impressive to me as Tony Parker's stats. Tony Parker also made more All-NBA than Manu. And he was key, like... I think, like, after 2007, like, Tony was probably the best player until 2013, until Kawhi came. So, like, yeah, man, Tony kind of carried those Spurs teams, especially in the playoffs, great moments. And, yeah, man, he improved this game as well. His jump shot, you know, definitely improved. And, yeah, shout out to Tony Parker. He's definitely a legend. Check out his documentary on Netflix if you haven't. Another point guard legend, CP3 Chris Paul. Again, 11-time All-Star, 4-time assist champion, 6-time steals champion. 15-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defense. Yeah, I think, the only thing missing is championship. He could have got it last year, but doesn't mean he's done. Uh, he's up there in assists all time. He probably won't be able to catch John Stockton, but bro, he's up there, and he's a great player, man. And he can also turn it on when he wants with his offensive game. He loves to get people involved, but like we've seen in like this year's playoffs, like this guy could go off for 30, 40 points. So shout out to CP3, man, one of the best players of all time. Next time we got another point guard. We got GP Gary Payton, Hall of Famer. Again, he's a defensive player of the year as a point guard, which is impressive. Again, Steelers champion, NBA champion, 9-time All NBA, 9-time All Defense, and this guy. Again, he is also changed the game with being such a great defender at the guard spot, being super dynamic. With his passing to Sean Kemp. And he led his team unfortunately, ran into Jordan, but he was able to stay long enough to win one with the Heat, and he hit a big shot in the finals as well. So shout out to GP. Next time we got Big Bob, aka Bob Pettit. Again, one of the early players in this league, but he was a monster. This guy, again, 11-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champion. Rebound champion, NBA champion, All NBA 11 times, 2-time MVP. Unfortunately, he ran a lot into the Celtics, so that's why he only got one championship, but he was able to defeat them one year. So, yeah, shout out to Big Bob. This guy was a beast. He was a beast at scoring for a big man. He was kind of opposite of George Mikan. This guy was a bucket getter. Unfortunately, he didn't get us enough championships, but he's still a great player. And next up we got the truth, Paul Pierce. A lot of people hate on him because how he has some outrageous takes nowadays. But man, he was a beast. 10-time All-Star. He was a NBA champion, 4-time All-NBA, Finals MVP. He was clutch, man. He had that little step back he'd always do, that little pump fake. He played at his own pace. Paul Pierce. He wasn't the most flashiest or fastest, but he played at his own pace, and he was super clutch, man. I still remember that shot he hit in 2012 over LeBron. I couldn't believe it. I really thought Celtics were going to win that series, but you know what happened in Game 6. But yeah, man, shout out to the truth. He definitely was the truth. Next up, we got Scottie Pippen. Man, 7-time All-Star. He was a Steelers champion, 6-time NBA champion, 7-time All-NBA, 10-time All-Defense. He probably could have won a Defensive Player of the Year one of these years, but man, again, one of the great defenders in this game. Super athletic, we all remember that dunk on Patrick Ewing. And man, shout out to Scottie. Again, Jordan probably doesn't win those championships without Scottie. And again, he was just he did it all for a lot. He could pass, he could rebound, he could defend, and he could score. And definitely in the 91 finals, him guarding Magic showed how truly great his defense was. So shout out to Scottie Pippen. Next up, we got Willis Reed. Again, another New York legend. Willis Reed was 7-time All-Star, 2-time champion, 5-time All-NBA, 2-time Finals MVP. He got regular season MVP. And man, he was also ahead of his time. He hit that little mid-range shot. Again, he has that classic shot where he comes back from being injured just to hit a mid-range shot, and it fuels the Knicks to win the championship. So definitely a legend in his time. Again, shout out to the captain, Willis Reed. Next up, we got the big O, Oscar Robertson. Again, the first original Mr. Triple-Double man. The big O, 12-time All-Star, 6-time assist champion. He was an NBA champion. He was an All-NBA 11 times. He was an MVP as well. This guy, man, he averaged 25, 7.5, and 9.5 for his career. And man, his best season was 31, 11, and 12.5. So what can I say, man? This guy, he was a beast. And he could have did it a few more years. You know, one year he got 9.5 assists. The next year he got 9.9 rebounds. Like, bro, just round that up, you know. But, man, he was a beast. Shout out to Big O, Oscar Robertson. Next up, we got David Robinson. Again, I think he's kind of underrated as well. 10-time All-Star. He was a scoring champion. He scored 72 points, I believe, to get it. Rebound champion, block champion, 2-time NBA champion, 10-time All-NBA. And he snagged the MVP as well and a Defensive Player of the Year. So shout out to David Robinson. He averaged 20 and 10 a game. And, yeah, he was just super athletic for his size. And he could also hit that mid-range shot. I think he's super underrated, especially because, like, people talk about him getting kind of look silly by Kareem. But, you know, he was a great player, great scorer. And, yeah, man, super athletic. And he also was able to snag 2 championships with Timmy D. So, yeah, shout out to the Admiral, David Robinson. All right. I kind of teased at this earlier, but yes, Dennis Rodman is on this list. 2-time All-Star, 7-time rebound champion, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time All-NBA, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time All-Defense. Again, what makes me have him on my list, despite, like, you know, he doesn't have the best stats, is, man, this guy, he was a beast on the boards. Like, literally, he was undersized, 6'7", and he'd average 18, 19 rebounds, 17, 15, 16, 15 rebounds. Man, what can I say about Dennis Rodman? And he was a part of two all-time dynasties, the Bad Boy Pistons and the Jordan Bulls, and I believe, like, he was a key part of both of those championship teams. So shout out to the Worm, Dennis the Menace, Dennis Rodman. And next up, we got Bill Russell. Again, greatest winner in NBA history, 11-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, 11-time All-NBA, 12-time All-Star, 4-time rebound champion. What can I say about Big Bill? This guy, again, I said Rodman's numbers are really impressive, but look at this guy's rebound numbers. I know, but although it was a different time, this guy, like, 19 rebounds, 22 rebounds, 23 rebounds, 24 rebounds, 25 rebounds. For his career, he averages 15 and 23 rebounds, basically. So, man, and he's one of the best winners of all time. You can't deny it. You know, Wilt may have better numbers than him, but he beat Wilt majority of the time. So, yeah, man, shout out to Big Bill. 11 NBA championships, probably won't be beat. And, yeah. Next up, we got John Stockton. Again, all-time leader in assists, 10-time All-Star, 9-time assist champion. What can you say about that? 2-time steals champion, 11-time All-NBA. And, yeah, man, this guy, he truly put his teammates in front of him. He averaged, like, nearly 14 assists, nearly 15 assists, 13 assists. So he was definitely probably the best passer in the game. That pick and roll with John Stockton was super deadly, and he could score when he wanted to. You know, although he only averaged 13 points, when he wanted to, he could definitely score. He had some big shots. You know, that shot against Houston to get into the finals. Yeah, he's super underrated. He's a great defender, and yeah, so shout out to Stockton. Next time we got Isaiah Thomas. What can I say about Isaiah Thomas? He led the Bad Boy Pistons to 2 NBA championships. 10-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, Finals MVP. He is probably one of the best little guards in the league. You know, he could get into the lane. He'd take contact and still finish. He was super quick, super fast. He could blow by you, so shout out to Isaiah. All right, next up we got Wes Unseld, 5-time All-Star, rebound champion, NBA champion, Finals MVP, regular season MVP. He was a monster on the rebounds. Again, he averaged 14 rebounds for his career. He was a part of those Washington Bullets teams with Alvin Hayes to win championships. Again, he also averaged like 14 rebounds, 13 rebounds, 12 rebounds. So he was a monster, and he was definitely a part of NBA history, helping those Bullets teams win championships. So shout out to Wes Unseld. Next up, we got D Wade, aka Flash. What could I say about D Wade, man? This guy in 2006, one of the great finals runs. I think he averaged like 35 a game or something like that. He was a monster in that series. Some people say they gave him a lot of free throw calls. Maybe so, but he still performed. He's a 13-time All-Star, 3-time NBA champion. He was a scoring champion, 8-time All-NBA, 3-time All-Defensive. And like I said, that finals MVP. And he averaged 22, 5 and 5 basically for his career. He's a part of the Heatles run, and he just had some great performances in the playoffs. Super athletic, could dunk on you, but he could also hit that mid-range shot on you. And he definitely improved as a shooter over his career. Shout out to Flash. Next up, we got C-Web. He hasn't been mentioned in these lists, but man, Chris Webber is super underrated. Wherever he went, he won to me. He won on the Bullets, he won on the Warriors, and he won on the Kings. He was a 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He probably could have got a championship. Who knows? Like with that crooked official, like with the Kings that actually won. Who knows? And I'm sure if they got to the finals, I believe they would have beat the Nets. So definitely unfortunate for Chris Webber, but man, he's one of the best big men as well. Great passer. He averaged four assists as a big man. He's a great scorer as well. So shout out to C-Web. And next we got the logo, Jerry West. What can I say about Jerry West? Mr. Clutch. He had some clutch shots. Everyone remembers that half-court heave he hit to tie the game. But yeah, he's a 14-time All-Star. He was a scoring champion. He was an assist champion, NBA champion, 12-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defensive. He got that Finals MVP, even though he lost, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, man, this guy, he averaged 27 for his career, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. He was a bucket getter. He was clutch. The only knock on him is he only won 1 championship. He many finals losses, but I can't say it was due to him, man. He definitely performed, and that's why they call him Mr. Clutch for a reason. And then next up we got Russell Westbrook, Mr. Triple Double himself, the leader in triple doubles. He was also scoring champion, assist champion, 3 times, 9-time All NBA. He got that MVP in 2017. And yeah, man, some people say he's a stat patter, but hey, he got those stats, so I can't really knock him on it. For his career, he's averaging 23, 7, and 8. So man, those are impressive numbers. Now he's looking for a championship with LA, so he's not done. Again, maybe he's not the most efficient player, the best shooter, but he plays hard. And shout out to Russ. All right, Dominique Wilkins. He finally gets on the list after getting a snub. Once again, 9-time All-Star, scoring champion, 7-time All-NBA. He nearly averaged 25 a game. This guy's a bucket getter. Human highlight reel, amazing dunks. He made the windmill super famous. Although he didn't have the great playoff success, he was a great player, man. And I'm glad he finally can get on the list. And lastly, the last member is James Worthy. Again, he was part of the Showtime Lakers. He won those championships. 3-time NBA champion, 7-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. He got that Finals MVP in 1988, and he definitely complimented Magic so well, the way he'd run the lane and dunk on people. You can't tell that NBA story without the Showtime Lakers, and you can't tell the Showtime Lakers story without big games James Worthy. Great player. So that is my list, guys. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me who got snubbed. Actually, I will tell you who I snubbed off my list, but that is my list for now. And again, they're in alphabetical order. No ranking system. Again, you can see in my list, I took a lot of the old guys out. Dave Bing, Dave the Busher, Billy Cunningham, Hal Greer, Dolph Schayes, Paul Rising. I kind of took those guys out. And, I definitely added a bunch, some people might say controversial, but, I added Grant Hill, I thought he deserved it. I added, Pau Gasol, Tony Parker, some really underrated names. T-Mac and Vince Carter, who I don't think, they didn't get their just credits. Chris Webber as well. I don't think he got his credit for being a great player in the early 2000s. And, Sidney Moncrief for being an amazing defender in the 80s. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, to me, that's unheard of. So yeah, there's a few guys. Alex English and Adrian Dantley, two of the best bucket getters in the 80s. Definitely deserve more credit. So yeah, man, you can see I added quite a few players, but I kind of try to justify why I had them and why they're all a part of the NBA story. So hope you guys enjoyed my list. Tell me if you got any problems with it. You want to debate it? Let's go. I'll put you on the show. Appreciate you checking it out, and have a great day and peace out. All right, y'all. Quickly, let me just go through the 25 snubs I have. So first off, I'm gonna honor all the people who I left off the original, who were on the original list. I left off Paul Risen, Hal Greer, Bill Sharman, Dolph Shays, Dave the Butcher, Nate Thurman, Lenny Wilkins, Earl Monroe, and Billy Cunningham and Bill Walton. So yeah, man, these guys are great players, especially in their time. But unfortunately, some players have surpassed them. I think one key thing is Bill Walton. He didn't play enough games. I think if he played a little more games, he would have made it because he got an MVP. He got a NBA championship. Actually, he got 2 actually. So I thought he would have made it. So that's that. And then here are a couple more snubs I have. Alonzo Mourning, great player. Unfortunately, he didn't have all NBA, lot of all NBA, so he wasn't really the best center ever in the league. So that kind of docks him for me. But he did get a championship at the end of his run, so he's definitely deserving. Dikembe Mutombo, probably the best. He is definitely the best shot blocker in NBA history. Multiple time Defensive Player of the Year. Once again, it's just unfortunate. There's been so many great centers, and I feel he didn't really have a lot of playoff success. I mean, he reached the finals a couple times, but yeah, man. When I'm comparing him to Rodman, I gotta give Rodman the edge just because of his playoff success. Next up, we got Penny Hardaway. I just feel injuries really messed him up. He could have been one of the great players, but injuries messed him up. But before his injury, he was a very explosive, exciting player. We got Joe Dumars. Again, he was part of those bad boy Pistons teams. Definitely deserves a lot of credit for his great defense, and he could score the ball as well. Yao Ming, another similar to Bill Walton. I think if he didn't get injured, he would have been on this list. 8-time All-Star, I believe. Amazing footwork for a big man. He could shoot the ball. And gets his injuries and his lack of playoff success. Manu Ginobili, this one was a tough one to cut off. He has the playoff success. He has a great plays, but unfortunately, he doesn't have the accolades. He only 2-time All-Star, I believe, 2-time All-NBA. So that's why I kind of chose Tony Parker over him, especially because TP has the Finals MVP. Some say Ginobili should have won in 2005, though. So it's arguable. If you want him on your list, on the list, I can't argue with it. Ben Wallace, and again, another multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, part of the championship teams with Detroit. But again, he was a good player, but he was never the best center in the league. And he kind of after 2007, his career kind of went downhill. Again, Chauncey Billups, another one on the Pistons, big shot, great player, just had other people ahead of him, and he didn't really start becoming an all-star until later in his career. So it's kind of a knock. Chris Bosh, again, he's part of those championship teams, much deserved respect. But again, not enough All-NBAs for me, and yeah, but he was very good though. Derrick Rose, again, this is just a shout out, MVP season, and he's still going strong. I hope if he can continue to get longevity stats, maybe he, in the top 100, hopefully he'll get in. And but I have him in for now. I just thought the fact he won an MVP, you gotta have him in here. Paul George, again, great player, great defender as well. People forget about his Pacer days. He was balling, so he definitely deserves an honorable mention. Klay Thompson, I know he's really pissed he's not on the list. Sorry, Klay, but I think he deserves it as well. One of the greatest shooters in this NBA, great defender. He's a part of the Warriors dynasty, And then we got Kyrie Irving again. He helped Cleveland win a championship again, but a lot of injuries, a lot of missed games. He didn't make a lot of All-NBAs due to those injuries, so that's why he didn't make the list. And lastly, Damian Lillard, who actually did make the list, which I'm not mad at. But I just feel like, he's still early in his career. I feel like a couple more people deserved it over him. But again, great playoff performer, 6-time All-NBA. So if he's on your list, I'm not mad at it. And the fact he's on the real list, I'm still not mad at it. So shout out to Dame Dollar. But yeah, so that totals 100 players I mentioned. And there's definitely more guys I can mention, which is crazy. Like Blake, LaMarcus Aldridge, Sean Kemp, Chris Mullin. Oh, man, I could go for days. But you know what? I'm going to end it with that. Those are the top 75 with 25 other snubs. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe for more basketball videos. I really appreciate any support I could get. And yeah, see you next time. Peace.